Good day, gentlemen. I'm in an extremely fulfilling, peaceful, and fun 6.5 year relationship, but I've had to overcome many challenges to actually get here. And I'm making this video for men like Tim, an entrepreneur in his late 20s who came to me because he was sick and fucking tired of getting stuck in failed relationship after failed relationship. And so, long story short, I helped him, and now he's in a very fulfilling, very peaceful, very secure relationship with an awesome woman who loves him for who he is, and they're building their life together. And I won't gatekeep, I won't gatekeep what I told him. Instead, what I'll do is I'll compress 6.5 years of brutally honest relationship truths and lessons into this one video. This might be a bit of unconventional advice because I'm not some marriage counselor who studied and got some degree. I'm just a guy who went through all those experiences himself, learned from those experiences, read over 100 books on relationships, learned from mentors, and now I can help you so that by the end of this video, you know exactly how to let go of your past and actually build the relationship that you truly want. So lesson number 1 is fear is incomplete knowledge. Write that down right now. I mean it, like actually write it down because this is so important. I'll explain why. So you are right now afraid because either you are afraid of never finding the woman that you want to spend your life with, or you're afraid of, well, you already have that woman right now. You already are with that woman in a relationship, but you're afraid of that relationship breaking apart, of her leaving you. And the thing is, man, it's good that you have these fears because what they show are that you are very aware that when you're going to be lying on your deathbed in 50, 60, 70 years, you don't want to be surrounded by money or by sports medals that you won or whatever else. You want to be surrounded by your loved ones, particularly the woman that you've spent and built your life with. And you're afraid of not having that. You're afraid of lying on your deathbed and not having that woman around. And now, of course, everyone tells you, don't be afraid, it's gonna work out. What nobody ever told you is that fear is incomplete knowledge. And with that, that it is very, that fear feels very real to you, while it's not. You feel that fear, and that's good, that's okay. You feel fear, cool. The reason you feel that fear, and the reason that fear is irrational, is because nobody ever told you how to actually build a great relationship. So you are afraid of not actually getting there. I'll give you a simple example of where fear is incomplete knowledge also applies. Imagine someone told you exactly, like step by step, how to build $1 million business. Would you be afraid to do it? No, because you're like, I can't fail. I know exactly what to do. I know it's going to work out. Right now, you don't have that conviction that it's going to work out because you are not that man yet. You don't believe in yourself enough yet. Probably there's some internal stuff going on there as well. Maybe you should believe in yourself more, but also there are external signs for why you don't believe that you are that kind of man, because you simply know that you've never learned. You simply know that you are kind of naive when it comes to relationships because nobody ever told you. It's not that you are naive, but nobody ever told you how to actually figure this stuff out, right? And maybe now you say, but dude, I did learn from people. Like all my friends, they told me so much about relationships. And my parents did. And some YouTubers that I watched, some like these immature bullshit red pill YouTubers, they taught me a lot, right? Well, bro, you've learned from people who are not where you want to be. Are your parents in the kind of relationship that you want to be in? Likely not. Are your friends in the kind of relationship you want to be in? Likely not. Are those immature red pill YouTubers where you want to be? Absolutely not. They're just trying to sleep with as many women as possible instead of building a sustainable, peaceful, loving, fun relationship with one woman that lasts a fucking lifetime. And so you've taken advice from the wrong people, and then you ask yourself, why the fuck do I still doubt myself when it comes to relationship? This is why. Now that that's out of the way, I want to give you in the next few lessons principles and practices on how you can actually very quickly shift your reality when it comes to relationships, just like my client Tim did. And the thing is, man, everything is cause and effect. Once you learn these things, everything is cause and effect. Once you do the right things that you want, the right outcomes will start happening. 0% of how my relationship went and how it's going right now is by accident. And 0% of where you're at in terms of relationship is by accident, because everything is cause and effect, even though people will never admit that when it comes to relationships. But it's still true. So lesson number 2 is that the number one reason why relationships fail in the long run is because neither partner says what they truly want from their partner and from this relationship. This might have led to breakups in your past. This might lead to a breakup right now that you're like in the middle of. This is why you're watching this video, because you don't want that breakup to happen. So listen up. Here's the thing, man. We have all been brainwashed, including me, honestly. We have all been brainwashed by this era of romanticism that happened a couple hundred years ago, where they basically taught us that, and this is like the common paradigm, the common worldview these days when it comes to love. They basically told us, when you love someone and when they love you, then both of you know exactly what you need from each other. Both of you magically just know what the other person wants and needs. And so talking about your wants and needs and actually asking for those, asking to get those met from your partner is not something that you have to do, right? Because they can magically smell it on you. Well, bro, let me ask you this. When you fell in love for the first time or for the second or third or whatever, how many times, did you know exactly what this girl needed from you? Did you know exactly what she wanted? Of course not. Otherwise, you wouldn't be watching this video. Otherwise, you would be in a long-term, loving, peaceful relationship with this woman and everything would be great. So it's obviously not true that you can magically read someone's mind and like smell on them just because you love them what they need from you. Look, man, here's the catch. Love is a very powerful force. But at the end of the day, what that makes us believe, this whole paradigm of romanticism, is that when someone doesn't give us what we want in a relationship, when your girl doesn't give you what you want, you think she doesn't love you anymore. You think the relationship is falling apart. But have you ever considered that just like you were never taught how to actually treat a woman well, she was never taught how to actually treat a man well? And that maybe she wants to treat you well, but you don't give her an opportunity to. And let's go even a level deeper. Oh man, there's a whole fucking surfing class, like beginner class coming here. Maybe they surf like in the background and you can watch them fall. That would be fun as fuck. Been there as well, right? I'm not a pro surfer or anything, but it's always funny to see like first time surfers. Anyway, I hope they appear somewhere in the background here soon. What are you actually doing by not talking about your needs? There's two things that you're doing that completely destroy the relationship and destroy any chances of you actually getting what you need and her getting what she needs. So firstly, by doing this, think about it like this. She, like we said, like we established, she never learned how to actually treat a man well. So what happens? What happens is simply this. She can't know how to treat you well when you don't tell her. So by not telling her, even though she wants to treat you well, because 99% of women want to treat their man well. Of course, you hear all these red pill bullshit YouTubers on the internet. Those guys attract those like 1 or 2% of women who are just hurt, who are just traumatized, whatever it might be, right? And not to say that traumatized and hurt is a bad thing. I'm not judging these women, right? The exact opposite, actually. But of course, these women might not treat you well. But the other 98, 99% of women want to treat you well. And likely, if you're with a woman, you've been with her for a bit, she wants to treat you well. She fucking loves you, man. But she doesn't know how. And by not telling her your needs, by not telling her your wants, you are firstly robbing her of the opportunity of actually treating you well, which is something that she wants. It's a need of hers. Most people in general, most women especially, but most people in general in relationships, they want to treat their partner well, and they start doubting themselves and loving themselves less if they're not able to actively love their partner and meet their needs, right? And secondly, what you're doing is, by not communicating your needs, you make it seem like talking about needs and talking about wants is a bad thing. And so she doesn't talk about needs and wants as well. She might even want to, but she sees you not doing it. And so she's like, maybe this is just something you shouldn't do. She starts doubting herself again. Maybe she wants to do it, but she doesn't do it. At the end of the day, you are just simply completely ruining this whole conversation that could be happening on a day-to-day basis about needs and wants if you don't start it. And this goes much further into the ancient Greek philosophy of love, as opposed to the kind of romanticist view of love, right? Romanticists, their philosophy, like we said, is just, when you love each other, you know exactly, intuitively, magically how to treat each other. The ancient Greeks' way of love, of seeing love, is loving, or being in love and loving someone means being their student and their teacher. So teaching them something, but also learning from them. And this is exactly this, what I just talked about. This is just one example of this. What do you think is going to get you further in the long run? The romanticist stuff or the ancient Greek way? Really think about that. I hope you can see the surf class. This is, oh man, this is going to be so fun. Now, lesson number 3 is that pain pushed you towards all your achievements in life so far. But letting go of that pain will push you much, much further, and it's going to be effortless. We'll go really, really deep here for a moment, because if you understand this, it will fundamentally shift how you look at yourself as a man and how you look at relationships as a whole, and then obviously the kind of results that you will get in your relationship. And so, ever since I was 16, 17, people told me how ambitious, how driven I was, and told me about all the achievements I've had and whatever else. And it was great. I took it as a compliment, and it was meant as a compliment, right? And I'm not saying that achievements, ambition, all that stuff is bad. Absolutely not. We should be very proud of our achievements and of our drive, of our ambition. But what do you think drove me to be so ambitious, to be so driven towards all these achievements? What do you think drove me? Was it this sense of, man, I'm such a great person and I deserve success and I love myself and I'm so happy that I get to do these things and I'm doing these things for me because they will benefit me? Or was it, fuck man, I struggle with feelings of self-worth. Like, I struggle with self-doubt. I don't like myself. I don't enjoy my own company. And I want to achieve all of this stuff to prove to myself that I'm a lovable and good man. You know the answer just as well as I do. Now, why are you so driven to build a great relationship? What are you trying to prove? What are you trying to get away from? And most importantly, what do you think would happen if you would work through all this pain that is driving you right now to a point where you could actually let it go? What if you were okay with yourself? What if you were okay without a great relationship? What if you knew that you were good even though you didn't have a woman telling you that she loves you, and with that proving to you that you're lovable? What if you could prove that to yourself? And right now, listen to that voice in your head. Your ego right now is telling you that if you let go of all this pain that drove you for all these years, that you will become a complacent fuck who doesn't do anything anymore, who just becomes lazy or just becomes this reclusive, I don't know, monk who meditates in the mountains. Basically, your ego is telling you that if you were happy and fulfilled without a relationship, you would stop trying to build a great relationship. And that, gentlemen, is called self-sabotage. Because not needing something is the exact way of actually getting it. This is why the Bible said the rich continue to get richer while the poor continue to get poorer. It's simply this. If you already have something, it is so much easier to have it again, to get it again, because you are not needing it. You're not putting out this needy energy out into the world. Someone who's okay with and without a relationship, obviously, is so much more attractive to a woman because she knows, hey, he's not craving this. He doesn't need this. He wants this, but he doesn't fucking need it. There's a massive rain cloud coming here. Holy shit. By the way, are the surfers in the water? Ah, shit, they went over there. Her whole surf school went over there. You can't see them. Anyway, simply put, if you already have love within you, it is so much easier to get love from outside of you, which is also kind of the same love. It's again your love, which that gets very spiritual. Let's not go there. But a great real life example of that, of how it's so much easier to actually do something if you don't need to do it, or to get something if you don't need that, is one of my mentors named Ryan. He also has a YouTube channel called The Conscious Man. And Ryan recently told me that building his YouTube channel was the easiest thing he has ever done in his life. Of course, there's easier stuff like grocery shopping, sure, but in terms of big projects that he has built, that he has had, this was the easiest thing that he's ever done. Now, here's the catch. I at first didn't even believe him, but then I realized, holy shit, he actually means this. Why am I telling you this? Because Ryan and I started our YouTube channels at pretty much the same time. And for him, it was effortless. For me, it was the most difficult thing to build this channel that I've ever done in my life. I'm not kidding. It was the most difficult project of my life. And Ryan is at around 90,000 subscribers, over 3 times of mine. And I had 2 previous YouTube channels. I had experience with YouTube, while Ryan didn't have any experience. So this guy it was effortless for him, even though he had no experience. He got 3.5 times the results in like the same amount of time. And of course, subscribers isn't something like, I'm not measuring my worth of like subscribers or whatever. But it's still crazy because it's still a result that people want, right? That a lot of people seek. And so here's the thing, man. For Ryan, when he started his channel, he didn't need anything. He didn't need to build this channel and gain subscribers and make money to prove to himself that he's worthy. He already knew that he's worthy. He already knew that he's like he was good with that channel and good without that channel. He was happy, he was fulfilled. I wasn't. At the start at least, I built this channel and built this whole business to prove to myself, I'm being very, very honest and very vulnerable here for a moment. I had to prove to myself that I'm worthy of success, worthy of love, worthy of money by actually getting it. Ryan already knew that he had it. Ryan already knew that he's worthy of it, even though he didn't have this whole channel yet. And that made it so effortless for him to actually do this, while it made it so fucking difficult for me to do this. And of course, now I'm not beating myself up over that, right? I just didn't know better. It wasn't my mistake. I didn't know better. But now that I do know better, it is absolutely my responsibility to let go of that pain, let go of those wounds, that let go of that ego that tells me, oh, bro, you need to build a channel and make money and whatever else to prove to yourself that you're worthy. Like, no, I am. Like, bullshit. I am already worthy. It doesn't matter the outside things. And not in a way of like this hippie kind of self-love. I'm worthy. I'm loving. Like I'm lovable. No, but like I'm in integrity. I like myself. I don't need anyone else to tell me because I like myself. Simple as that. I like who I am as a person. I like the actions that I take. I like the words that I say, right? And let me ask you one last thing on this point number 3 here. How much evidence do you need to see before you understand what you already know? Before you stop lying to yourself? How much proof do you need to see before you understand fully that letting go of pain does not make you a complacent, lazy fuck, but it actually makes you much more driven, but from a positive motivation rather than a negative motivation, from light motivation rather than dark motivation, and will actually make it much more effortless for you to actually achieve and get what you want and do the things that you want to do and be the person that you want to be? How much proof do you need to see before you actually understand that, even though deep down you already know this stuff? And this ties perfectly into my last point, point number 4, which is by far the most important lesson in this whole video, because I always keep the most important lessons and truths towards the end of these videos as a reward for the guys like you who actually put in all this effort, to put in all this time to actually become the kind of guy they want to be and actually build the kind of relationship they want to have. And lesson number 4 is 2 wholes make something bigger than a whole, but 2 halves make something less than half. Let me explain. My client, Tim, the guy I mentioned at the start of this video, he had to really learn this lesson. But once he did, everything shifted for him in an instant, internally, but also externally in terms of relationships. So really listen up here. Take notes, whatever you need to do. People have this paradigm nowadays, especially men, that a woman can complete them. That they need to find their other half, right? They need to find their soulmate to complete their soul. Well, here's the thing, man. In relationships, we don't add up. It's not 1 + 1 = 2. We multiply, right? When we have children, we multiply. And it's the same way with everything else. Children are also just like energy in a spiritual sense. So the energy we multiply energy. But here's the thing. What happens when you multiply 2 halves? What happens if you multiply 50% by 50%? 50% times 50% is not 100%. It's actually 25%. And that is a simple explanation for why people who get into relationships to fulfill themselves, to find their other half, they think, oh, if I get into this relationship, I will finally feel complete. They actually feel much worse in that relationship long term than they would feel if they were single. Single, they're at 50%, but in a relationship, they're at 25%. And so they are even more hurt, there's more pain, there's more drama, whatever there might be. Here's the thing though, when 2 people come together who are both at 100%, which is obviously ideal, right? Don't comment any bullshit of like, oh, but nobody can be perfect. Of course nobody can be perfect, dumbass. But if you go to that point, let's just say hypothetically, where both people are at 100%, they're both whole by themselves, they don't need anyone, they don't want anything, right? They're just good by themselves. They don't need anything to fulfill them. They do want something, let's be honest. They do want a partner. They do want someone to go through life with, but they don't need it. They're good with it and they're good without it. Those people are both at 100%, right? And 1 × 1 = 1. But what you need to understand is that last 1 1 times 1 equals 1. That's much bigger than 1. Much, much bigger. There's much more energy, much more passion, fulfillment, whatever in there when both partners are good with and good without a relationship. That's where the true magic happens. And obviously, this is an ideal. I'm not there, and my girl is not there, right? I'm going to be very humble and saying I'm not at 100%, absolutely not. I'm much further, though, than I was years ago when I was so insecure, so anxiously attached to her, all that stuff, right? And we continually talk about this topic. We continually talk about, like me and my girl, the fact that we would both be fine if this relationship ended. We would both be okay. It wouldn't be a huge drama. Yes, we would be massively sad and whatever else, but we know deep down we have this primal knowingness that we would be fine, that we would be great, we would be happy with and without it. And this is also what makes it so easy for us to have these long distance periods that we often have right now, because we're good with and good without each other. Simple as that. And that's where the true magic happens. That's where true connection happens, because then you're not in that relationship to get something. You're actually in that relationship to give something. Both of you are. Now, one last bonus lesson on this that I've learned over the years. If you're afraid and even terrified of losing her, what you're actually afraid of is not losing her. What you're actually afraid of is that in this moment where she were to leave you, you would have to wake up to the fact that you were never whole by yourself. That you were never afraid of losing her, but you were afraid of realizing that you never even had yourself. And by the way, if you're a driven, ambitious man in his 20s or early 30s and you're looking to transform your relationship into the relationship that you and your girl actually deserve, but you don't know how to get there, then I work with a handful of men inside my mentorship where I basically teach them and guide them towards building a peaceful, fun, fulfilling, passionate relationship with their girl that lasts a lifetime. Inside, I'll give you all the wisdom, all the tools you need, but more importantly than that, I teach you what to actually do to transform yourself and to transform your relationship. And I make sure that you don't get off that path, because there's this old quote which goes something like, if wisdom could be imparted by words alone, we'd all be done here. So information is good, but action is much, much better. If that sounds at all interesting to you, you can hit the link in the description and fill out the application form there. It only takes a couple minutes to fill that out, and I'll read through your application personally, and I'll also personally reach out to you if I think that you're someone I'd like to work with. So if you're interested, hit that link in the description right now, fill out the application. And obviously, if you're just here for the free videos, then that's completely fine as well. And then actually this very video here will serve you very well if you want to learn more about how to overcome fears and insecurities and anxious attachment in a relationship. So if you're interested, click that right now. I'll talk to you soon.